My heart was pulled between an old flame and a new heartbreak. I never saw this coming. I will never forget the day everything fell apart. It was the stifling heat of midsummer, a heavy blanket pressing down on my chest. I stood there, the sun beating relentlessly on my back. My hands trembled at my sides, clenching and unclenching as if trying to grip reality. The phone buzzed in my pocket. A name flashed across the screen, one that I had thought I'd buried deep. Jack. His name alone sent jolts of electricity through my veins, the kind that leaves you breathless, as if the air were suddenly too thick to breathe. That I had just ended things with Liam, and the scars were fresh. My heart was raw. Liam's warm smile contrasted sharply with the chill running through me as I pictured Jack's face, the way it lit up like a beacon amid stormy seas. Our moments came flooding back, vivid and painful. The laughter, the late-night talks under the stars, the way he used to look at me as if I were the only person in the world. That I glanced around, the bustling crowd of the city almost a blur. Every face that passed felt like a ghost. A glimpse of a couple intertwined on a bench made my chest ache, but amidst this sea of love and warmth, I felt utterly alone. My phone buzzed again, the screen now illuminated with words that threatened to change everything. Did I even want to face it? The scent of coffee wafted through the air. It was my favorite cafe, a place that carried whispers of hope. I stepped inside, my heart racing as I made my way to the front. The barista raised an eyebrow, a knowing look dancing in her eyes. She had seen me with both Jack and Liam, a front row seat to my tangled love life. "What'll it be today?" she asked, her voice soft but loaded with curiosity. A sudden honk outside jolted me back, and there he was. Jack. Standing at the curb with that same crooked smile. The world around us faded away. My breath hitched in my throat. Time felt suspended, and I was standing at the edge of a cliff, staring into the abyss. The urgency to dive, to fall, was overwhelming, but the danger loomed large. "Hey, it's been a while," he called out, the way he said it twisted my stomach into knots. Memories rushed back, igniting old flames, and yet, a new heartbeat. Liam's love pulsed against the walls of my chest. What did I even want? Was I ready to face the past, or had I closed that door for good? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button, it really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. I stood frozen, my heart in the crossfire of confusion and memory. Jack leaned against the car, his familiar presence both a balm and a burn. I could feel the weight of his gaze, the way it searched mine for answers perhaps neither of us were ready to confront. "Mind if I join you?" he asked, a hint of hope sparking in his tone. My mind raced. The last thing I wanted was to peel back the layers of the past with someone who had caused me so much joy and anguish. With a hesitant nod, I guided us to a nearby bench, the air still thick with unspoken words. Jack settled beside me, and for a fleeting moment, everything felt right. But the shadows of loyalty and heartbreak pressed around us. "How have you been?" he asked, his voice dripping with genuine concern. My heart was a spire of distress. How could I answer? "It's been a time of change," I replied, the truth caught in my throat like a stubborn bead of emotion. I didn't want to drag his name through the mud while my mind weighed the repercussions of this conversation. "I heard about Liam," Jack said quietly, his voice almost breaking. The weight of the words hung in the air, dangerously sweet. "I'm so sorry." Tears pricked at the corners of my eyes, not just for Liam's loss but for the sense of failure it represented. "Thank you," I whispered, suddenly feeling the vulnerability of the moment wash over me. It was disarming to see him like this, stripped of bravado, full of empathy. But as we shared small moments, laughter once again slipping effortlessly between us, the specter of my recent relationship followed me like a shadow. Jack noticed my hesitation, and there was a flicker in his expression, as if he was desperately searching for a glimmer of trust that seemed elusive. "I've been thinking about you," he admitted, the confession heavy yet freeing. "About us." Those words stirred a whirlwind within me. We once flared like wildfire, lighting up life in ways I could hardly remember anymore. But now, with the echo of Liam's laugh haunting my thoughts, I struggled to hold on to the past without losing myself to the pain that followed. "I don't know if I'm ready," I confessed, my voice trembling as I wrestled with the flood of emotions. "I understand. I never wanted to rush you," he said softly, digging his fingers into his palms, a gesture of sheer frustration with the delicate situation. "I just hoped you'd reach out someday." The moment hung between us, vibrant and heavy, suspended in time. I watched him, studying his face, and saw not just the boy I once loved but the man he had become. Someone resilient yet haunted by our shared history. And yet, guilt crashed over me in waves. I hadn't just hurt myself. Liam wore the scars of my indecision. As the sun began its slow descent, casting golden streaks across the sky, an unexpected warmth seeped through my trepidation. In that moment, two kind strangers passed by with a couple of dogs, their joy infectious. One of the dogs, a scruffy little thing, darted towards us, tail wagging furiously. Without thinking, I reached down to pet it, and the dog responded with an exuberance that was contagious. "Looks like someone has the magic touch," Jack chuckled, his smile igniting a spark of lightness. The dog greedily licked my hand as I laughed, and for a moment, the haunting shadows faded, both of us lost in the shared blink of pure joy, but that joy was a mere page in our story. Just as the sun dipped below the horizon, a sudden text buzzed on my phone. My heart sank as I read the message that blinked back at me. It was from Liam. "Can we talk?" Panic surged through me. My heart raced at the implications of this unexpected outreach. The clarity I had chased for weeks was about to be swept away, drowned in waves of old emotions and fresh tears. How could I reconcile the past and my present? Just as I locked eyes with Jack, full of unsaid things, a voice echoed in the distance, a reminder that my tangled life was far from over. Jack's hopeful expression faltered, replaced with concern as he noticed the shift in my demeanor. "What's wrong?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I need to, but I couldn't finish my sentence. I was standing at another precipice, with swirling uncertainties and a dread that danced at the edges of my resolve. The late summer air, thick and muggy, felt suffocating as I hovered on the precipice of decision. My phone lay like a weight in my palm, the message from Liam still burning like a brand. The dog's fuzzy frame still loitered at my feet, blissfully unaware of the chaos threading through my mind. Jack's gaze was piercing, filled with the kind of concern that could cut through my internal storm, yet I could barely breathe under the weight of it. I need to take this," I finally managed, my voice barely a whisper as I gave a slight nod to Jack. I rose from the bench, hounded by the shadows of memories that suddenly rushed back, memories of laughter and comfort, of late-night talks and hopes shared under the stars. But they all bore the weight of loss now. Finding a moment of solitude, I stepped a few paces away and pressed my back against the cool metal of a nearby lamppost. My heart thudded in my chest as I opened up the message again, trying to decipher Liam's tone between the lines. Did he want closure, or was there still a thread of hope hanging between us? What had changed since the last time we faced each other? I took a breath, fighting the wave of dread rising within me as I typed, "What do you want to talk about?" My fingers hesitated over the screen. It felt like an eternity before the three little dots danced, signaling his reply. I caught myself swaying as the silence expanded, my heart racing with longing and fear until the message popped up. "Can we meet at our spot?" The word sent a rush of nausea through me, memories flooding back of the last time we had been there together, the soft whispers of shared dreams now heavy with shadows. That was where we built our world, too innocent, exciting, and deeply flawed. Through the haze of my chaotic feelings, I heard Jack's voice gently calling me back to the present. "Hey, you okay?" he asked, stepping cautiously towards me, concern etched on his face. The former boyfriend, the unaware source of my heart's deeper conflicts. I felt caught between his unwavering gaze and Liam's familiar words, and the unfolding fractal of choices left me paralyzed. "I don't know." My voice faltered, betraying the turmoil swirling inside. "Liam wants to meet at our spot." Jack's expression darkened slightly, and I could sense the tension ripple through him. "Is that something you want?" The question hung heavily, articulated perfectly yet laden with unspoken fear of what I might choose, fear of what he had always wanted to offer me. "I don't know," I repeated, the truth of my helplessness setting in. There's so much history there. My mind raced as the past and present yanked at me in opposite directions. "I need to figure things out. Maybe meeting him is what you need, to find clarity," Jack suggested softly, attempting to reignite the flicker of hope still sparking between us. Yet, the implication of his words caressed my heart cruelly. What if clarity meant stepping away from him? But what if it's not that easy? I asked, the lump in my throat growing heavier. What if I go back and end up just? I inhaled sharply, forcing the thoughts back before they could spill into defeated confession. Ending up where? Jack pressed gently, stepping closer, his breath coming rougher now. "You don't have to end any of this in a way that feels wrong. You're still allowed to explore what you feel right now, whether it's with me or him." His understanding was a weight and a balm, yet it felt like a dance on thin ice as I envisioned breaking old bonds versus forging new connections. I could see the flicker of hope in his eyes, but fear gnawed at me, deepening the rift that separated us. The thought of dragging Jack into my labyrinth was daunting. He deserve to pay for decisions already fraught with consequences. "Jack," I started, voicing the tidal wave of gratitude mixed with sorrow, but I found myself cut off by a sudden clamor that reverberated through the park. That a shrill scream broke through the comforting whispers of nature, the unmistakable sound of chaos erupting. I turned instinctively towards the noise and saw panic flash across the faces of other visitors. A little boy had fallen off his scooter, clutching his leg, tears streaming down his face while a frantic mother rushed to his side. Without thinking, I was moving, drawn to the scene, my heart responding to the rawness of the moment. Jack stayed close, his hand brushing against mine as we approached the commotion. It reminded me of how fragile moments could be, of how unexpectedly life could spiral you through anguish and hope in a heartbeat. As the boy's mother comforted him, I knelt beside them, instinctively offering soothing words. "You're going to be okay," I said, my voice steady despite my racing thoughts. "Breathe, and we'll get you up in no time." The boy pressed his face into his mother's shoulder and whimpered, still trembling with pain. The moments that followed cemented something within me, the beauty of empathy, the connection between strangers, the kindness reflected in shared burdens. But as the dust of the incident settled, the weight of my own burdens felt heavier. I turned back to Jack, the hint of connection igniting between us again, but it only deepened the sense of urgency in my heart. I gazed into his eyes and realized that profound change was nigh, but uncertainty clouded the brightness ahead. "Jack," I said gently, feeling the reality of choices pressing in around me, but before I could continue, my phone buzzed again, and the screen glowed ominously. Another message from Liam, a single word, "Please." I looked back at Jack, his brow furrowed in concern, and felt an unsettling wave wash over me. I had been given the choice to heal or hurt, to reclaim a past or forge a future. Could I juggle both with grace, or was I destined to shatter? The subtle encroachment of dread eclipsed the brief brightness we shared in the park. Just as the sun slipped below the horizon into the twilight of uncertainty, so too did my hope, wrapped in fear of choices that would inevitably change everything. The sun dipped lower, casting lingering shadows across the park as I stood stuck between my past and the uncertainty of my future. The air felt heavy, thick with the expectation of imminent decisions, my heart oscillating like a pendulum caught in a storm. Jack's eyes bore into mine, a mirror reflecting both concern and a flicker of something else, an unsteady hope that felt as fragile as the early autumn leaves fluttering down around us. Please, I read Liam's message again, and my heart clenched painfully. It was a single word, yet it carried so much weight, so many unaddressed emotions and unresolved questions. Did he understand the gravity of what he was asking, or was it merely desperation laced with nostalgia? Jack's voice pulled me back, low and soothing. You don't have to reply right away. Take your time. But time felt like sand slipping through my fingers, the urgency of the moment clung to me. What if he has changed? What if this time it's different? My voice trembled with the flicker of hope and fear, but deep inside I worried about how much I wanted to find out. Is finding out worth it, though? Jack searched my eyes, reminding me without words of the courage required to confront both the past and the present. His hand found mine, warm and steady, a silent promise, and yet I felt the tension in it, evident as he registered the tug of my heart in two directions. Things are already complicated, I whispered, my heart breaking under the weight of honesty. Every time I think of him, it pulls me back to memories that bring me comfort, but also pain. And you, I hesitated, fearing the words that might sink deeper into our delicate connection. You deserve someone who can fully be with you. Don't say that, he replied, urgency sliced through the softness of his voice. You don't have to choose right now. You're processing everything, and it's fine if you need to take time for yourself. The understanding in his gaze began to melt my defenses. It was comforting, yet troubling that he might think I was worth the wait. The commotion near the fallen boy had quieted, but I could still feel the remnants of chaos swirling around us. The small voices that stopped breathing held their breaths, allowing understanding to seep in. Maybe that moment bridged something deeper within me, a gentle reminder of the unexpected kindness still possible, even amidst pain. Would I find that same kind of kindness with Liam, or was the past too stained with hurt? Suddenly, laughter pierced the air, startling me with its sweetness. A group of teenagers nearby had begun playing with a frisbee, their carefree energy contrasting sharply with my inner turmoil. A pang of longing shot through me, a visceral wish to tap into that purity of experience. In that instant, I realized how much I craved freedom from the weight of my decisions. Jack, what if I can't figure this out? I said, feeling raw and vulnerable, the haze of uncertainty clinging to me. He took a step closer, his hand tightening around mine as if to anchor me in the moment. Then don't. Just be here now. Listen to what your heart tells you. His words washed over me, momentarily igniting a flicker of resolution, but it was short-lived. My heart still waged a relentless war against my mind. Just as I opened my mouth to respond, my phone buzzed again, this time with a call. It lit up with Liam's name, a beacon I hadn't anticipated. My chest tightened, a fresh wave of fear crashing over me. Should I answer? Was this what I wanted? Should I stammered, raising my phone hesitantly. Jack's eyes searched mine once more, filled with unwavering support despite the strain in the atmosphere. It's your choice, he said softly. You don't have to feel pressured to pick one over the other. Just breathe. I nodded slowly, drawn to the comfort in his voice but also terrified of the complex choices stretching before me. I took a deep breath, letting it fill my lungs with expectation and uncertainty, as my finger hovered over the answer button, and then I pressed it. Hello. I breathed, my voice a whisper tangled in trepidation. And hope. Tasha Liam's voice, once so familiar and reassuring, now flowed like a ripple of electricity that surged through the endless silence that followed. I could hear the weight of hesitation and longing laced within his tone. I didn't know if you'd pick up. I felt a tremor within myself, a churning of emotions threatening to burst free. This was the moment that could shift everything, and yet I felt paralyzed, caught at the forefront of a storm that offered both danger and possibility. Liam, I breathed, struggling to find my footing in this whirlwind. The future lay ahead, unknown and expansive, but all I wanted was clarity. So why did this feel like the beginning of new chaos? But before I could gather my thoughts, his next words dashed through the air, creating a wedge of uncertainty. I need to talk to you about something important. Something I haven't told you before. His revelation hung between us, a precarious thread connecting two hearts suspended in memory and anticipation. In that moment, the world seemed to hold its breath alongside me, caught in the potential fracture of everything I'd come to know. What could he possibly reveal? And if I stepped through that door again, would I be the same person stepping out on the other side? The answers lay tantalizingly close yet obscured by the fog of emotions, and as I looked to Jack, I felt the unspoken question linger in the air: would we emerge from this together, or would the fissures of choice push us apart irreparably? The chill of evening air wrapped around me as I stood there, the weight of Liam's words tugging at my heart like waves against a weathered shore. My breath hitched as I struggled to compartmentalize the deluge of emotion swelling within me. Did I really want to hear what he had to say? The faint echoes of our past had begun to fade, replaced by the vivid colors of my connection with Jack. Yet here was Liam, seeking to fracture the fragile peace I had begun to cultivate. Something important? I echoed, my voice barely above a whisper. I could sense Jack's steady presence beside me, an ever-watchful lighthouse for my tumultuous seas. Yes, Liam replied, his voice deep and grave, imbued with a seriousness that made my pulse quicken. It's about us, about why I left. The air thickened with tension, and Jack instinctively shifted, squeezing my hand tighter. I could feel the energy between us crackling, as if a storm was brewing just out of sight, its effects felt long before the first raindrop hit. What do you mean? I asked, my heart racing as I wrestled with the history of hurt we had shared. Could I really bear to relive it now? Can we meet? I think it's something we need to discuss face to face, he urged, desperation lacing his words like a lifeline being thrown, but somehow, it felt more like a sinking anchor dragging me deeper into a familiar abyss. Okay, I answered before I could stop myself, shocked at my own compliance, as if my response was preordained. I glanced at Jack, whose expression was a mix of concern and confusion, a silent question hanging between us: was I truly ready to face the past? I'll text you the details, Liam said softly, the tremor in his voice now evident. I could feel him stepping closer, yearning to bridge the gulf that had formed over the years, unaware of how that very act was threatening to deepen another divide. As the call ended, I stood in a daze, the world around me fading into a blur. Jack's hand, warm and steady, pulled me back to the present, coaxing my attention. Are you okay? He asked tentatively, concern etched on his face. I don't know. I took a deep breath, tearing my gaze from his, unable to meet the sincerity in those eyes that had been my harbor. This wasn't what I expected. Silence enveloped us, thick with unspoken fears and what-ifs. I want to be here for you, whatever you need, Jack said gently. But I can't pretend it doesn't hurt to see you drawn back to someone who hurt you before. His words struck a painful chord in my heart, lighting an old flame of guilt. I never wanted to drag you into this, I murmured, guilt flooding every syllable. Just promise me you'll think this through, Jack urged, his eyes radiating a depth of understanding that made my heart ache. You fought so hard to find your way back to yourself. Don't lose sight of that. I don't want you to feel obligated to figure this out for me. I wouldn't want to lose you. Jack's lips curved into a sad smile, his expression betraying the turmoil beneath his calm exterior. You won't, I hope. But if you decide to give Liam another chance, if that's what your heart truly wants, I can't be someone who stands in the way of your happiness. My heart cracked under the weight of those words, a chasm opening between us, yet somehow leaving space for the possibility of hope. But what if he is still the same person? What if this leads to the same devastation? The fear spilled out like water from a shattered glass, sloshing against the edges of my resolve. Then we deal with it together, Jack replied, sincerity echoing in his voice. But you have to address that past no matter how scary or painful it is. It's a part of you and you can't keep running from it. Swallowing hard, I felt the sting of tears as they threatened to spill. He was right, yet the prospect of facing Liam again was daunting. The shadows of my history loomed large, dark and menacing. And as much as Jack's support emboldened me, I also feared it would only intertwine our paths in ways I couldn't foresee. Just as the silence swelled into something almost tangible, my phone buzzed again. Another message. Can you meet tomorrow at Tully's 3 p.m.? I really need to talk. My heart felt like it would break, caught between two lives, two worlds. Jack glanced at the screen, his demeanor shifting as uncertainty crept back in. My heart ached at the notion of dragging him along on this emotional roller coaster, despite his unwavering support. I don't know what I should do, Jack, I admitted, my voice barely a whisper. No one can decide that for you, he replied with a nod, though uncertainty clouded his eyes, an unspoken hesitation wondering if this would be the last sliver of hope he could cling to. I could stay here with you, he offered, give you time to think. No, I interjected, and as soon as the word left my lips, I felt panic rise within me. What if staying with him merely meant cradling my fears? Ignoring what needed to be confronted, with a deep breath, I made up my mind. I'll meet him. The admission felt like a release, yet I couldn't shake the sensation of an impending earthquake that would reshape everything. Jack inhaled sharply, and for a moment, I could see a flicker of something unnameable flash across his face, a blend of fear, disappointment, and maybe even resignation. Are you sure, Tasha? No, I breathed, truth a bitter pill in my throat. But I have to confront this. I can't live half in the shadows anymore. The intensity in Jack's eyes softened, as if he understood the monumental weight of that statement. But his next word struck me like thunder. Just remember, I'll be here. And with that, our hands reluctantly separated as I turned away from the once comforting shadows, stepping toward the safe confines of my decision, even as uncertainty loomed large over what lay ahead. As I walked away, I couldn't shake the feeling that the storm chasing me was only just beginning. I had chosen a path through a minefield, and with every step toward Liam, I felt histories colliding, and the shards of hope I'd gathered drifting farther from my grasp. What awaited me tomorrow was unknown, but one truth echoed through the fog: I was about to confront a past that had shaped me in more ways than I could ever admit. And as that thought took root, I couldn't help it, an invisible hand around my heart gripped tighter. The hours stretched like elastic, each tick of the clock an agonizing reminder that the impending meeting with Liam loomed closer. The sanctuary of night descended, casting shadows across my apartment that felt disproportionately large. I sat on the edge of the couch, eyes glued to my phone, anticipating a distraction that never came. My heart raced with fleeting memories of love and pain intertwined, laughter punctuated by arguments, warmth overshadowed by the bitter chill of abandonment. Forcing myself to rest, I closed my eyes, but sleep eluded me, haunted instead by the ghosts of decisions past. With dawn came a resolve forged from frustration and fear. I dressed in the first clothes I could find, nothing too elaborate. Just a sweater that hugged me tightly like Jack's reassuring embrace. He had offered such comforting certainty in a world gone so drastically sideways. Yet here I was, about to wade back into the waters that had once pulled me under. The cafe buzzed with life, patrons animated and carefree, while I felt like an outsider peering through a glass wall, trapped in a world disconnected from the thrum of normalcy. I arrived early to gather my thoughts, but peace remained elusive, echoing the chatter around me, a reminder that life continued to roll forward, indifferent to my turmoil. 3 p.m. drew closer, each second ticking like a drumbeat of impending conflict. And then he walked in. Liam, with that familiar lopsided smile that once made my heart flutter but now surged within me the pangs of nostalgia mixed with trepidation. He was clad in a simple blue shirt, hair tousled as if he had just woken from a long dream. I rose from my seat, our eyes locking in a moment suspended in time. It felt as palpable as the rush of wind before a storm. We exchanged pleasantries, the initial chill in the air replaced by a hesitant warmth, yet the weight of unspoken history hung heavily between us. Thanks for meeting me, he said, sinking into the seat across from me, his tone earnest, yet I caught the undercurrent of desperation just below the surface. Why now, Liam? I asked, unable to mask the tremor in my voice, as the question got caught in my throat like a thorny vine. Why after all this time? He hesitated, searching my face for something, perhaps clarity, perhaps forgiveness. I thought about what we had, Tasha. I've spent too many nights regretting how I left things. His voice cracked slightly, a quaver revealing the vulnerability I hadn't seen in years. Regret doesn't undo the past, I shot back, anger sparking within me as old wounds throbbed. I know that, he replied softly, eyes dropping away. But I want to try to explain myself. To let you know how hard it's been without you. The pit of my stomach twisted as I fought against the conflict raging inside me. A part of me clung to the hope of closure, while another screamed to turn away, to shut the door on the past that had opened with such unexpected force. What do you want, Liam? I asked, my heart racing. Do you really think you can just walk back in after everything? I can't change what I did, I just want to be honest now. Please let me explain. The urgency in his voice drew a reluctant nod from me, urging him forward. But deep down, I understood this was a double-edged sword, capable of cutting in either direction. As he explained, his voice trembled with emotion, recounting moments I had long relegated to the shadows of my mind. He spoke of uncertainty that plagued him, a plummeting feeling in his gut as he realized he had lost something precious, the peace of mind that came intertwined with love for me. And as he spoke, those memories flickered like a vivid movie reel, happy times intertwined with moments of heartbreak. Yet just as I began to soften, to let understanding seep into the cracks of my guarded heart, the door swung wide open as a familiar figure entered the cafe. Jack stood there, caught off guard, eyes darting between me and Liam. His gaze met mine with a flood of confusion and betrayal, and my stomach dropped as impact settled heavy upon me like a lead. Wait. Jack. I called out, but the urgency in my voice faded as he turned to leave, shoulders tense, disappointment etched into his features like a permanent fixture. Wait. I urged, scrambling to my feet. Every instinct screamed for me to chase after him, to fix the rift that had just widened like a canyon amid my chaos. But Liam's voice held me captive. Tasha, don't! Liam's plea faded into the background as panic surged through me. This was not the way it was supposed to unfold. I turned and bolted after Jack, desperate to reach him before he disappeared into the blur of life away from me. As I burst out of the cafe, the cool air enveloped me, swirling with the truth of my choices. There he stood, walking away, the distance growing like a chasm filled with unspoken words and hurt. Jack, please. I cried, reaching out, but fear choked my words, rendering them useless. He turned, hurt etched deeply in his eyes. You don't have to explain. I understand. I thought we had something real. It is real. I exclaimed, stepping forward to bridge the gap, but I felt the wall I built around myself slowly crumbling. You don't understand, I don't want to hear it. Jack interrupted, pain lacing his voice, tears brimming in his eyes. It's not about him, it's about us and the trust we built. Why would you even meet him? Those words pierced through me, igniting my confusion. The weight of my choices slammed into me, opening old wounds I desperately tried to bandage. I need to confront my past. I protested, vulnerability creeping into my tone. Confronting your past shouldn't come at the cost of your present. He stepped back, leaving me standing in the vivid chaos swirling around us. And in that moment, everything shifted. Everything I had fought for, everything I cherished was doused in uncertainty. It felt as if the ground beneath my feet was vanishing, pulling me into chaos. I can't lose you. I cried out, desperation flooding my voice. Then don't, he replied, his voice barely above a whisper, yet it struck like a bolt of lightning. Just then, my phone buzzed insistently in my pocket, a message from Liam, unyielding as the reality closing around me. As Jack's silhouette blurred in the distance, a fresh wave of guilt crashed over me, robbing me of breath, the words on the screen crystallizing my dilemma. Where did you go? I need to talk about what happened between us. The chasm within my heart yawned wider, time suspended in that moment of choice, tethered between past and present, love and pain. Life had just swung wide open, and the storm pouring forth threatened to drown me in its wrath. The rain began to fall just as I turned back toward the cafe, a steady rhythm mirroring the chaos thundering within me. Each droplet felt like an echo of my turmoil, a relentless drumming that demanded resolution, yet offered none. I pressed my hand against the brick wall beside me, hoping the coolness would stanch the rising tide of emotions. Memories of Jack's eyes, filled with disappointment, played on a loop in my mind, reminding me of just how much was at stake. I stumbled back through the cafe door, feeling the warmth inside clash with the cold that had seeped into my bones. Liam remained seated, his face shadowed by uncertainty, but the moment I entered, he sat up straighter, concern knitting his brows together. "Tasha, what just happened?" he asked, the urgency of his voice puncturing my resolve. "Jack, he saw us." I couldn't finish the sentence. The pain of his expression clawed at me, reducing me to a heart pounding with guilt. "Did he leave?" Liam whispered, an expression of trepidation crossing his features, and in that moment, despair washed over me like a tide that could not be held back. All the progress I thought I could make dead in an instant. "Yeah," I admitted, my voice shaking. "He deserved better. I thought I could be honest with you, but all I've done is hurt him." Liam leaned back, fingers massaging his temples as if fighting the weight of the world. "I never wanted to come between you two, Tasha. I just needed to explain myself. I didn't think it would end up like this. But you did." I snapped, the frustration spiraling out of control. As I focused on Liam, the reality of the moment unfolded in excruciating detail. All I wanted was closure, and now I've ruined everything that mattered. "No." His voice gripped mine, grounding me. "You didn't ruin anything. You have a chance to choose how this plays out." He paused, the corners of his mouth twitching as if he wrestled with his own vulnerability. "But I won't force you. I couldn't leave things unsaid anymore." My heart ached for the reality of the past, yet my conscience yelled for the delicate threads of the present that I was all but fraying with every passing moment. I wish it were that simple. Every time I try to disentangle my feelings, I get pulled under again. "There's no going back, Tasha. We've all made our choices." His words were soft, laced with understanding, and despite the maelstrom inside me, I felt a small flicker of warmth emerging from the ashes of pain. "You're not alone in this. I see you, even if you don't see yourself." I took a deep breath, pulling away from the anger and blame, looking for the slivers of compassion amidst my chaos. "I don't know what I want. All I know is that I cared about you once, and part of me still does, but I can't hurt Jack." "It's not about hurting anyone," he replied, his eyes earnest. "It's about being honest with yourself. You deserve happiness too." As the rain continued to patter against the window, I felt the weight of my choices settling in like stones in my stomach. My heart raced as I contemplated an unfathomable possibility. Could I risk reaching out to Jack and explaining? But what if he turned away? What if my uncertainty became another nail in the coffin of our potential future? Just then, my phone buzzed once again, this time with a message from an unknown number. My heart sank slightly as I swiped the screen, bracing for something that might unravel what little clarity I'd found. I stuttered, unable to form the words. Liam leaned over, his expression shifting from concern to intrigue as he read the words before I had a chance to process them. "What does it say?" I swallowed hard. "It's from Jack's sister, Sophie. She's in town and wants to meet up. She said she knows what happened, and she's worried about both of us." "That might be a chance," Liam urged cautiously. "You could clarify things with Jack. Or it could complicate everything more," I countered, the prospect sending unease spiraling through me. "If Sophie knows what happened, it's only a matter of time before Jack finds out from her." The split between my emotional desire to understand Jack and the nagging dread of past memories loomed larger than ever. "I can't play this game anymore. I need to be honest, but how do I even start?" Liam softened, the tension in his stance releasing ever so slightly. "Look, I know it feels overwhelming right now, but whatever you decide, just remember there's no singular path to happiness. You have to pave your way. But just as the faintest inklings of clarity began to weave their way around the thoughts in my mind, the bell above the cafe door jingled again, and in walked another surprised Jack's best friend, Ethan, his face pale and drawn, the knuckles of his hands white with tension. "Tasha," he called out, scanning the cafe until his eyes found me. "I need to talk to you. It's about Jack and everything that just happened." My heart dropped as dread filled the space around me, and I braced myself for the storm that was bound to follow. Could another unexpected revelation tip the precarious balance I was struggling to maintain? With my choices spiraling into the unknown, uncertainty unfolded like a dark cloud, threatening to plunge me deeper into the chaos. The warmth of the cafe felt stifling as Ethan approached me, his expression a mix of urgency and fear. I could barely meet his gaze, anxiety tightening my throat. The air was thick with unspoken words, and the world narrowed until it was just the three of us, Liam, Ethan, and me, trapped in this moment of impending confrontation. "Ethan," I started, but the words fell flat against the weight of his concern. He shook his head, brushing away my attempt at reassurance. "Tasha, Jack is not well. He found out we were together before he had a chance to tell you how he really felt." The revelation hit me like a physical blow. "What do you mean?" I asked, breathless. "What else has he said?" Ethan stepped closer, his voice lowering as if he was afraid someone might overhear. "He's hurting. He thought the time apart would help him move on, but instead, he's spiraled. He blames himself for everything. He thinks he drove you to Liam, like maybe if he had just owned up to his feelings sooner, things would have been different." A tightness gripped my chest, and my instincts screamed that I had to reach out to him. "He shouldn't think like that," I whispered, feeling a tumult of guilt and sadness rising within me. "Tasha, the point is, he's not okay, and he's been drinking a lot. I'm scared for him." Ethan's eyes were dark with worry. "I thought maybe you could talk to him. He needs someone to pull him back to reality. You're the only one who could truly do that right now." I felt the weight of his words settle within me, heavy and foreboding. I had spent weeks working through my feelings, yet here I stood, teetering on the edge of another emotional leap. What if I dove in only to be met with disappointment? What if Jack pushed me away again? "I can't just swoop in and save him," I murmured, the guilt twisting through me. "Not when I was the one who hurt him in the first place. Just hear me out. You might think you're lost in your own mess, but you have the chance to help him feel less alone, even if just for a fleeting moment," Ethan urged, his sincerity shining through his anxious demeanor. The hope in his words filled me with determination and dread. I thought back to Jack's expression, how those trusting eyes had looked away in momentary defeat, and realized this was an opportunity one couldn't dismiss. "Will you come with me?" I asked, needing support to face my own emotional storm. Ethan nodded, relief washing over his features. "Yeah, let us do this," he said, giving me a reassuring pat on the back. "I'll text Liam and meet him there." As we stepped out into the rain-soaked street, I felt the heaviness of the world settle over me like a shroud. But with each step, a flicker of hope ignited. I could be the one to restore some light to the darkness that clung to Jack. The drive felt interminable. Memories of our time together swirled in my mind, each tainted by regret and longing. My hands twisted nervously against the fabric of my jeans, and the rain drummed on the roof of the car, a dissonant symphony that matched the chaos in my heart. "What if he doesn't want to see me?" I voiced, the fear trickling out as we pulled into his driveway. "What if I just make everything worse?" Ethan's hand found mine, a grounding gesture that sent a surge of warmth through me. "You won't know until you try. Just be honest. That's all he needs from you." I nodded, though doubt gnawed at the edges of my resolve. I was stepping back into a raw reality fraught with uncertainty, but perhaps all I needed was to be brave enough to face it. As I approached the door, the familiar silhouettes of Jack's childhood home felt both comforting and daunting. The sounds of muffled music filtered through the walls. With a deep breath, I lifted my hand and knocked, each heartbeat hammering louder than the last. It creaked open, revealing Jack's disheveled figure, eyes red-rimmed and shirt crumpled. For a moment, we both stood there, suspended in the gravity of unspoken emotions. Silently, I wished I could bridge the chasm that had grown between us and show him that I, too, yearned for clarity and connection. "Jack," I breathed, searching his face for a sign of recognition, comfort, anything that would tell me I hadn't lost him completely. But as I looked deeper, I felt a pang of dread. The shadows lurking in his gaze were deeper than I had anticipated. "Why are you here, Tasha?" he rasped, his voice barely steady. His words echoed in the vastness of my soul, and I realized I didn't have the answer. Instead, I had the stark coldness of reality surrounding us, a churning tempest of unresolved feelings and the weight of our shared history. The wall between us felt as impenetrable as ever, and no matter how hard I tried, I could sense the divide threatening to consume us both. The world around us faded, and at that moment, it became painfully clear, our relationship would never be the same again. But before I could find the words to express that profound truth, Jack's phone buzzed from his pocket, tension slicing through the air as he reached for it. His eyes flickered down, and a dark shadow crossing his expression sent chills down my spine. "It's Sophie," he muttered, his face growing even more ashen. "She just texted she's coming over to talk about us." My heart plummeted into my stomach, the implications of that simple message hanging like a blade between us, ready to strike as I braced for yet another tumultuous revelation. As Jack's expression shifted from confusion to dread, I knew in that moment we were on the cusp of something we could not escape from, a truth that would shatter our lives and leave us reeling in its wake. As I stood there, the air grew thicker, laden with the weight of what Jack's revelation portended. My heart raced, a rhythmic pounding that echoed within me, drowning out reason and clarity. Sophie. A name that twisted the knife of doubt deeper into my chest. I had anticipated this conversation, the one where Jack confronted his feelings for her, the one where he finally understood his place in my tumultuous heart. Yet, here we were, on the precipice of a confrontation I had not prepared for. "Jack, I started, but the words dissipated into the suffocating atmosphere. I could see the wheels turning in his mind, the inner battle of emotions playing out as he processed my presence and Sophie's impending arrival like a tempest waiting to break loose. That he pinched the bridge of his nose, trying to gather his scattered thoughts. "Tasha, I didn't expect to see you. I didn't want to see you like this. Not now, not when everything is crashing down around me." "What did she say? Why is she coming over?" My voice wavered, a blend of curiosity and dread. Was she seeking closure? Or had she come to stake her claim on something that was never truly hers? Something about us, about how she needs to talk it over. I thought we were done. But his words faltered, and the weight of the unfulfilled sentiment hung between us, both a question and an answer teetering on the brink of chaos. "Jack," I said softly, reaching for his hand. He hesitated, but the moment my fingers brushed against his, sparks of old familiarity ignited between us. "You need to talk to her. But right now, I'm here. We need to talk first." His gaze darted around the room, as if he were searching for an escape, for clarity hidden in the wall decor or the floorboards. "I don't know what to say to you," he admitted, pain etched into his features. "Everything feels so twisted. I don't even know what I feel anymore." The frustration of being helpless washed over me, battling against a flicker of bravery I desperately clung to. "We don't have to have all the answers right now," I said. "Let us just talk." Before he could respond, the doorbell rang, a sharp sound that punctuated our moment. Jack's eyes widened in terror, and his indecision lanced through my heart. I noticed the sheen of sweat dotting his brow, felt the tension radiating off him as he turned towards the door, caught between past and present. "I can't do this," he muttered under his breath, but before I could urge him to stay the course, he retreated a few steps, almost like he was trying to withdraw from the fray. Hot anger surged within me, igniting a righteous fire. "You can't run away, Jack. Not again." The volume of my voice startled us both, ringing through the silence like an alarm bell. "Do you really want to let this uncertainty consume us? You have to face her, face yourself, and face us. He looked at me, his blue eyes swirling with an array of emotions: fear, confusion, the remnants of hope. What if I can't? What if talking to Sophie it breaks everything? What if she's right? Maybe she isn't, I quipped unexpectedly, because the truth isn't in the past, Jack. It's right here right now with us. We owe it to ourselves to figure this out. I came here to help you regain whatever was lost. It's not too late. As the doorbell rang again, the sound felt like a death knell. Jack set his jaw, either steeling himself against the reality about to unfold or preparing to bolt. The glow of the living room lamp flickered against the softness of his features, yet the storm inside him raged. Stay, please, I pleaded, an unexpected wave of vulnerability taking me by surprise. I had crossed oceans to be here at this moment, and I refused to watch him drown in indecision. Even if you're scared. Even if you think you don't want me anymore. Just stay. A pause, long and agonizing, as Jack wrestled with his inner instincts. Finally, he nodded almost imperceptibly, and just like that we stood side by side, waiting for the inevitable. The door creaked open, and Sophie's silhouette filled the frame, a tempest herself, bold, beautiful, and undeniably present. Jack turned at the sound of her voice, calling out his name with both urgency and familiarity, and in that moment, it was as if time fractured. I felt a jolt, the truth throbbed in my veins like a war cry. As I stood solid beside Jack, a whisper of hope flickered, something fragile yet fierce. I had opened my heart to him, but what would it matter if our pasts collided like crashing waves? And then, just as Sophie swept into the room with a calculated brilliance, her gaze landed on me, and an unexpected chill ran through the atmosphere. She paused, calculating, then turned her piercing eyes toward Jack, awaiting an explanation that I feared would change everything. That I braced myself, knowing we were about to be thrust into a confrontation that would test the very foundation of our entangled hearts, a wildfire of emotions threatening to engulf us all. The air crackled with unspoken tension as Sophie stepped into the room, her presence a palpable force that brought with it an uneasy mix of anticipation and dread. My heart raced as I caught a glimpse of Jack's face, a canvas of confusion and guilt as he stood between the fractures of love and longing. I could feel the weight of our shared history pressing down on us, the flickering light of hope overshadowed by the looming shadows of unresolved conflict. Tasha, Sophie began, her voice smooth and confident as she cut through the silence. I didn't expect to see you here. There was no warmth in her tone, it felt more like a challenge than a greeting. Jack shifted uncomfortably, glancing between Sophie and me as if trying to gauge which of us held the greater claim over his heart. This isn't what you think, Sophie, he said, his voice low, desperation lacing each word. I wasn't hiding anything. We were just talking. Sophie straightened, a flicker of indignation crossing her features. Talking? Is that what you call this? The accusation hung heavily in the air, eliciting a tight knot in my stomach. You need to choose. The urgency of her demand felt like an unrelenting storm crashing against the fragile dam I had constructed around my heart. I clenched my fists, refusing to allow the clamor of external expectations to drown out the truth I was struggling to articulate. Jack doesn't have to choose, I interjected, my voice strong and steady despite the chaos swirling around us. We all deserve a chance to be honest with ourselves. Tasha, you really shouldn't, Jack started to say, but I shook my head, needing him to understand that this moment was larger than any fear he clung to, any risk that felt too daunting to face. No, I said, determination igniting in my heart. I came here because I wanted to help you, Jack. Because I believe we can figure this out together. My eyes found his, searching for a flicker of recognition, some sign that he was still with me on this tumultuous ride. Sophie's brow furrowed, skepticism etched into her sharp features. And what do you think will happen here, Tasha? You move forward into this tangled mess of feelings, leaving Jack to sift through the wreckage of your decisions. Her challenge stung, but I held my ground. I'm not asking for perfection, I replied. I'm asking for possibility. I've been lost for so long, shrouded in the past, trying to navigate through guilt and regret. But if there's any chance for clarity, for healing, I need to know that we can face it. All of us. Silence stretched between us, heavy and suffocating, as Jack, Sophie, and I stood together in a gravitational pull that threatened to tear us apart. Jack's eyes glimmered with uncertainty, but there was something else there, a flicker of longing, of desire to break free from the torment of silence. Tasha, he began, but the heaviness in his voice faltered. Sophie stepped closer, eyes narrowing. I came here because I thought we were reconnecting, Jack. I thought you were ready to move forward. What is it that you still see in her? That question sliced through me, raw and blistering. She sought an answer that I wasn't prepared to give, my heart caught between two loves, neither of which felt entirely right nor entirely wrong. I don't know what I see. I burst out, the floodgates opening as I felt vulnerability crash over me. I just know that I want to be honest about everything. Our past, the hurt, everything I've carried for so long. But I can't do that without facing the truth of what we are to each other, Jack. You and I, what we were and what we could still become. Jack's gaze flickered to mine, that familiar spark of connection igniting an unyielding warmth that broke through the chill of Sophie's scrutiny. In that moment, I saw every moment we shared, the laughter, the sorrow, the seamless bond of two souls intertwined. All of it came crashing down in an overwhelming torrent, reminding me why we had fought so hard to reclaim what we lost, and as if sensing the shift, Jack drew in a breath, emboldened by my honesty. Sophie, I will always care about you. But no one can force me to choose between you and Tasha. It's not about that. It's about understanding who I am, and who I want to be. Those words reverberated through the room like a heartbeat, slicing through the heavy tension and revealing the unmistakable truth: the intricacies of love were not something to be bound to strict definitions. Suddenly, clarity began to take shape among the confusion, a fragile bloom amidst the thorns. Sophie's expression dimmed as the weight of his admission hit her like a blow. But you've already given her so much, Jack. You can't just turn your back on what we have. The tremor in her voice betrayed the uncertainty that cracked her facade. I'm not turning my back on anything, Jack countered, his voice more resolute than before. I can't ignore my feelings for her, nor do I want to erase the good memories we created. But I need to find my path, and I can't do that if I'm still caught in the past. There was a rawness in his confession, a rawness that mirrored the flickering candlelight that illuminated our surroundings. Jack was stepping into a new phase of honesty, and as I stood there beside him, every heartbeat echoed the promise of what could be if we both dared to move forward with our truths. A silence enveloped us as each word settled into place, pulling tight the frayed edges of connection that had lingered between us. Sophie stood rooted, caught between love and obligation, anger simmering beneath her calm exterior. Then we all need to be honest about where we go from here, I said, the humility of my own feelings washing over me. We can't move on without reckoning with both the love and the hurt that shadows us. Jack nodded, his gaze unwavering as he looked at me. I want to untangle this mess. We owe ourselves that chance. His words wrapped around my heart like a soothing balm, igniting hope within me. As the tension hung in the air like fragile glass, I felt the storm begin to calm. The rain outside softened, the world felt more inviting, filled with possibilities and new beginnings. And as Sophie's expression shifted from indignation to acceptance, I realized something profound: we were all human. We were imperfect, but in our shared experiences, we could find healing and strength. In that moment, I understood that clarity could blossom from chaos. Forgiveness could emerge from hurt if we were willing to take the leap together. Let us be honest with each other, not just for our sake but for the love that we have shared. As the clock ticked away in the background, a flicker of understanding glimmered in Sophie's eyes, as she registered the gravity of the words exchanged. Perhaps this wouldn't be the end of our tangled emotional saga, but rather a new beginning, a chance to reframe our tangled heartstrings into something beautiful. Something real. And so, anchored by our heartfelt truth, we shared our stories, our fears, and our hopes, drawing closer as we slowly began to untangle the threads binding us, releasing the pain while allowing the love to grow anew. As we navigated the tumult, tenderness filled the room, weaving us together through the shared vulnerability and honesty, and I hoped that as the storm of our past quieted, we might find the courage to build something stronger, filled with warmth and acceptance. And in that moment, I dared to believe that the journey ahead, however uncertain, held promise, a promise that had the potential to shape our futures in ways we had once thought impossible. In the end, it was not just about reconciling with our pasts but about choosing, every day, to be present, to forgive, and most importantly, to love boldly and unreservedly. On that day, amidst the shadows of uncertainty, I felt the weight of my heart lift just slightly. The door of possibility swung open, revealing a bright future ahead. And as we stood there, united in our commitment to transparency, I held on to one enduring truth: love, no matter how tangled, deserves a chance to bloom anew. Our stories were still unfolding, written with every choice, heartache, and moment of clarity, and together, we would conquer the storms, hand in hand. In that moment, I realized that the true power of love lay in its complexity, woven deeply into the tapestry of our lives. After all, it is not the heart's fractures that define us, but the way we embrace the pieces, both beautiful and broken, together. Because in the end, love is a journey, not a destination, and every step toward healing is a testament to our strength.